December of 2015, I was making a north-south cross-country drive through the Midwestern United States. I was a university student at the time, a woman in my young 20s, driving home for the semester break. I was driving south through Kentucky on I-65 around 11:30 p.m., still about an hour away from the city where I was going to stop for the night. There were no other cars on the road at all, and I had not seen any for a while. That part of I-65 was a 6-lane divided highway, 3 lanes for each direction, in the area south of Mammoth Cave National Park and just northeast of Bowling Green, Kentucky. I was changing the music on my phone when I noticed an 18-wheeler coming up behind me in the rearview mirror. I stopped what I was doing, clicked off the phone, and waited for the truck to pass. The truck got right even with my car and instead of completing the pass, matched my speed and stayed beside me. Then the driver turned on the spotlight on the side of the truck, which shone directly down to the cabin of my car and on my face. I was really confused, as I had never seen a truck do anything like this before. The driver kept the light on my car for what seemed like a very long minute, and I was getting creeped out. I kept my gaze straight ahead. I slowed my speed so that the truck would finish passing me. The driver turned off the light and completed the pass, moving from the middle lane to the right lane in front of my car. I was very creeped out by this, slowed down some more, and changed to the leftmost lane to put some space between me and this big rig. As soon as I moved into the leftmost lane, the truck matched my speed again and moved over to the middle lane to come parallel to my car. The driver turned on the light again, shining directly into the passenger side of my car cabin. I had now confirmed that this truck driver was definitely following me and definitely being super creepy. I kept my gaze straight ahead because I felt like looking over would somehow make it worse. The truck turned off the spotlight and pulled in front of my car in the leftmost lane. I decided to move away again, changing lanes behind the truck back over to the rightmost lane and speeding up. I was probably going right around the speed limit again, 70 to 75 miles per hour. By the time I completed my merge, I saw the truck beginning to shift lanes towards me again and speeding up to match me. Before they could pull up next to me again, I decided it was time to get out of there and I floored it. I sped up to 90 miles per hour, the fastest I had ever driven in my life, and I put maybe a mile of distance between me and the truck before slowing down some. I looked to the rearview mirror and I will never forget the image. This big orange tractor trailer illuminated by the streetlights of a highway interchange, absolutely devouring the distance I had put between us. The truck was charging up behind me at an unbelievable speed. I sped up again, but it did not matter. The truck caught up to me, pulled beside me, and turned on the spotlight again. I stared straight ahead, keeping my speed, not daring to look over. It was at this time I decided that my only advantage was the maneuverability of my small car. I hit my brakes and dropped back behind the 18-wheeler, moving into the middle lane behind their truck. They moved over into the right lane and I moved over behind them. I decided to stay right behind the truck in its blind spot so that they could not see me. I saw a sign for an exit and decided this is how I would escape. I waited behind the truck in its blind spot until we came up on the exit. I waited until the last possible moment. Once the truck body was beyond the point where the exit split away, I darted out from behind the truck into the exit. Thoroughly shaken, I wondered how far away from the interstate I should go and if the truck would come looking for me. I ended up just pulling into a Wendy's right by the interstate. I parked and got out. I inspected my vehicle, looking to see if there was any damage, thinking maybe the driver was trying to warn me of something wrong with my car. There was nothing wrong with it. I waited at the Wendy's for a little while to make sure the truck was long gone before getting back onto the interstate and continuing to my hotel. After the break, when I drove back to school, I did not use I-65. A little backstory on me is that I suffer from dissociative identity disorder. I have relatively no control over my switching, and I often find myself in shady situations. A few days ago, I ordered a Lyft to take me from the hairdresser to my house. When I got in the car, the driver was instantly chatty. He asked me, "Do you speak Spanish?" To which I answered, "Un poco." From there, he continued to speak to me in broken English and some Spanish. I was trying to be nice and kept engaging, thinking that the ride will be over soon, so what's the harm in being friendly? He told me he's a 50-year-old single father, that he's always working, etc. 10 minutes into the ride, the trip was supposed to be 14. He asked me if I could talk to him for a few moments. I was genuinely confused, but by then I was just smiling nervously and said, "Yes, I'm talking to you now." That's when he pulled the car over and started turning off the app. I wish it wasn't the case, but I went into full-blown panic mode trying to fix any misunderstanding. But he was now opening my door and telling me to move to the front seat. This is where I royally fucked up. Even though he was guiding me to the front seat, I could have tried to make my escape. I recognized a huge bright orange awning of the supermarket close to my house. Instead, I froze and meekly sat down in the front seat. From there, he picked up a conversation, but for all I know, he could have been speaking Mandarin. All I could hear was an echo. I was dissociating. The next thing I remember doing was giving him driving directions, to which he complied. He pulled over at a little park near my house, and I immediately jumped out of the car. He hopped out, grabbed my hand, and tried to kiss it. I pulled my hand away, but he grabbed it again. At this point, I believe I went into fawn. I began walking with him hand in hand around the park. As we were walking, at least 3 other people went by, and I made no gesture for help. He kept telling me about all the sexual things he was going to do to me. I spent roughly 20 minutes like that, feeling helpless in my own body. I snapped out of my daze when my phone started to vibrate. I looked over as he waved his phone while grinning. He was calling me. I didn't even remember putting his number in my phone. I told him I had to go inside, but he was blocking my path, demanding that I kiss him on the lips as a farewell. Finally, a man and his son stopped beside us, and I used the opportunity to walk further away. He called out that he'd be staying at the park for another 45 minutes. For all I know, he could have watched me walk up the street and into my house. I live with family, and thankfully my mom was home, so I went to her for comfort. I was shaking like a leaf and embarrassed by my response. I told her bits and pieces of the story, but left out the part about him having my number. I just know she wouldn't understand. At first, she was adamant that I report him, but then it chalked up to a language and a cultural barrier. Either way, I am genuinely afraid to report him. He has my number, probably knows where I live, and could take advantage if I cause him to lose his income. He has texted me several times since the incident asking to see me. Thankfully, he stopped within 2 days after getting no response from me. To add insult to injury, I can't even get a hold of my therapist to unpack this with her. She's been a no-show for a few of our sessions, and I'm starting to worry that she's going through something wrong. The more I think about it, the more that I see that it could have been so much worse. And if I ever do run into a true psychopath, it would be curtains for me. Anyway, to the Lyft driver from the other day, let's not meet again. When I was 17, I was walking home around 2 a.m. from a friend's place. My neighborhood is quiet, no cars, no people, just streetlights and the sound of sprinklers. Halfway down the block, I hear footsteps behind me, slow, steady, matching my pace. I turn around, nothing. The street's empty. I keep walking. Footsteps start again, but closer this time. I freeze, and they stop too. Out of the corner of my eye, I see something crouched behind a parked car. Pale, almost too pale. Long arms pressed to the ground like it wasn't standing upright. I blink, and it's gone. No sound, no movement. I sprinted the rest of the way home. My parents thought I was just being paranoid, but I swear on my life I wasn't. Even now, years later, if I'm walking alone at night and the street goes quiet, my stomach drops and I remember that thing. I don't know if it was a person, or an animal, or something else, but I know it was watching.